All right, well, welcome everybody to this installment of NAIA-SIDA SID Spotlight. I'm Jeremy Nelson. I am the Assistant Athletic Director for Athletic Communications at McPherson College, and I am joined today by Erica Baldaray from SOKA University of America out in Aliso Viejo, California. Erica, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jeremy. Yes, so my name is Erica Baldaray, and my pronouns are she and her, and I have been working as an NAIA-SID since the fall of 2012, but been working in college athletics for a total of 14 years now. And, you know, my journey into the business has started when I was a student athlete. I was a student athlete at Cal State Fullerton as a member of the women's soccer team for the Titans from 2002 to 2005. Which was where I first realized that working in college athletics might be something that I wanted to pursue, but I wasn't really sure what route I wanted to take. So after my career ended with the Titans, I served as an undergraduate assistant coach for the women's soccer program while simultaneously working as an intern for our director of development in athletics at Fullerton, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a great experience and really found a passion for college athletics in that role. And during a conversation with my boss at the time and mentor, Pamela Jones-Tinsel, who, you know, when discussing my career path, she really urged me to try everything and figure out what I don't want to do versus trying to figure out what I do want to do at the time. And so just really tried to figure out what aspects of the job I liked and didn't like, and you know, from there decided, well, I think I want to try my hand at coaching. And so I started coaching as a high school soccer coach in the Upland Unified School District, and then was substitute teaching, working with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in PE. I would go from school site to school site. And then I got a phone call in 2008 from another mentor who was the assistant coach at USC at the time. So big shout out to Harold Warren, who he had told me he put my name in to interview as the assistant coach for the women's soccer program that they were starting at SOKA University. And so I didn't really know that much about the university, but I researched it. And then I went in and I interviewed in the early fall of 2008 with Maureen Kano, who was the director of soccer at the time and head coach for both programs. And I just fell in love with our campus. I fell in love with the university and their mission to foster a steady stream of global citizens committed to living a contributive life. And, you know, I crossed my fingers and patiently waited to hear back after interviewing. And about 2 weeks later, got the call that I'd gotten the job. So I left my substitute teaching position and started commuting to Aliso Viejo. And then from there, we had our inaugural season with the women's program in 2009, and I served as the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator for 4 years, so until 2012. And that was in that season, you know, we didn't really have an SID at all on our campus at the time, and we didn't have an athletics website either. But I had a wonderful conversation with my boss and athletic director, Mike Moore, about my career path and just professional aspirations. And I vocalized I really wanted to try my hand at the administrative side of college athletics. And he asked if I'd be interested in filling a full-time SID position. So I jumped at the opportunity. I did not have much experience in the field, but I accepted it, and I've just been continuously learning ever since, and I'm forever grateful that he took that chance on me. And that kind of takes me to now, where my position since 2012 has really evolved, and I've progressively taken on more responsibilities within our department. And in 2017, I was promoted to assistant director of athletics, and I've been serving our student athletes, staff, and university in that capacity ever since.
Quite a journey.
It's been a journey, but it's been fun. It really has been fun.
That's awesome. Well, that kind of segues nicely into the next question, which is, you know, what have you seen as the biggest changes in sports information since you started in 2012 to 2021?
Well, like I said, I mean, we didn't even have a website for athletics at the time. So, I mean, I would definitely say technology, the advancements in technology since early 2000s have just vastly changed. And the boom of social media, which is constantly evolving, has definitely been probably one of the biggest changes I've experienced in the field. And yeah, I'd say the way we communicate and provide information to the public and to everyone has just probably been the biggest change.
I would definitely agree. So let's talk about COVID. It's been the elephant in the room all year. In March 2020, the country shut down and sports, and we all went on hiatus, and some of us got going again. And we were talking before this started that you guys have been remote since last March. You guys have not played any sports. So what have you been doing without sports? How have your focus shifted? What have you guys been doing?
Well, I mean, I definitely would say, my focus is always providing a platform to promote our student athletes' growth into becoming global citizens through sportsmanship, community outreach, and just the competitive experiences they find in collegiate athletics. And yes, that platform that allows us to do that has had a massive shift. But our focus has just really remained on our student athletes and doing everything we can to still promote their development and still highlight them and connect with them virtually, and really just support them to the best of our abilities. And I guess in terms of like myself and with SOKA remaining virtual, I've gone back to school. I use the time as an opportunity to go back to school and hopefully earn my master's in coaching and athletic administration. I'm currently in my third term at Concordia University, Irvine. And yeah, so that's been kind of what I've been doing in lieu of hosting events and some of the aspects that I miss so much about being in person.
I get a lot of emails from Concordia University Irvine about their master's program. Maybe I'll look into it.
It's been great. I have to say I've just loved it. I've loved the format. I've loved the content, and it's been a great way to fill the void of no sports by just studying and immersing myself in sports in a different capacity.
Yeah, that sounds cool. What do you see as the biggest challenges you face at SOKA University? What challenges moving forward besides just COVID, but just everything in general? What do you see are the biggest challenges?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, overall, I'm going to say our institution is pretty phenomenal. From our mission to the vision, the values, our students, the faculty, staff, and I mean, specifically my incredible coworkers, and we're really an athletics family, and facilities, location, all of it's phenomenal. And I just feel so fortunate to be there. And I love it so much. That's actually where my husband and I got married. We had our wedding on campus. But I mean, if I had to identify a challenge that we face, I would definitely say it's that we are a smaller but mighty department. There are 15 full-time staff members total in our department, which is including 2 full-time athletic trainers, 2 rec staff members, 9 coaches, and then our administration consists of my athletic director and myself. So we're definitely on the smaller end staff-wise. And with that said, we all wear multiple hats in our department, and everyone's duties, they have duties outside of their titles. But we really work together as a team, and while it's challenging at times to be on the smaller side staff-wise, there's also just so many advantages to wearing multiple hats. Yeah, so I mean, for me, in addition to my responsibilities as an SID, some of my other hats that I wear include I do eligibility and compliance. I oversee our student athlete study hall. I serve as one of our SAC liaisons. And then I assist with overseeing community outreach events. And we have an app called Helper, which I'm going to put some plugs in right now because it's an awesome app that tracks your student athlete service hours. And what's really cool about it is they have the ability to embed your department's service hours into your website, which I'm working to do. We don't have as many hours being virtual this year, but you can promote your students' work within the communities through that app, which is really cool. And then another aspect of my job is I work with my boss. We work pretty diligently to try to find partnerships for our department. So another plug that I'm going to put in is that if your departments haven't partnered with LGBT Sport Safe, RISE, or Return on Inclusion, I highly recommend getting in contact with those organizations because they're phenomenal and they do incredible work. So those are some of the hats that I wear, and you know, I really embrace the challenge of being a smaller department, and I look at wearing all those hats as an opportunity to learn and to grow and, you know, really progress, because, you know, it's given myself and our staff so many incredible learning opportunities, and that we may not have had if we were a larger department.
It's outstanding. So what do you see as the biggest challenges that are facing the sports information industry?
We need more hours in the day. No.
Amen.
But I guess that we can't fix that. But honestly, I don't think people understand, you know, outside of athletics communications, fully comprehend the depth of what sports information directors and athletic communications departments do, and how essential they are to the success of every sports program sponsored at a university. The SIDs and communication offices are really the pipeline between athletics and everyone else. And they are so incredibly important. And because they're invaluable, I just think they need to be treated as such. And really in order to retain them and eliminate some of the turnover that we consistently see. You know, I've had a lot of peers who end up leaving the industry for lack of support or being underappreciated. And, you know, as of late, they've been furloughed or let go because of COVID. And I just hate seeing such phenomenal SIDs and storytellers leave the industry. So that would be one of the challenges. And then as a whole, I do think that the industry needs to be more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive. We need more women, and specifically women of color, in athletic communications. And there needs to be more women represented all around in collegiate athletic executive roles. And in addition to that, in addition to needing more women in these roles, we need more non-binary and we need more transgender representation in the industry as well. Not only do I believe that the representation needs to be there, but their voices need to be heard and they need to be celebrated. And I do want to acknowledge that there are strides that are being made, and there just needs to be more advancement.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into sports information? You know, you've been in for 8-9 years now, and I've seen a lot. What would you tell someone who comes into your office like you did, you know, with your mentors, and what would you tell them?
I would say just do it, jump in. You know, I would probably offer similar advice to what I was given. I would say explore the field in its entirety, feel it out, try everything. And I would also add, it is so important to connect with others and learn from them, and don't be afraid to ask for help and really utilize your resources. This is seriously such an amazing network of individuals, and you just have such fantastic support from all your fellow SIDs. I feel so lucky to work with such creative and innovative SIDs in our California Pacific Conference. And I look to them for advice and guidance and ideas all the time. You know, our conference commissioner, Don Ott, he's been in an athletic communication industry himself, and our conference SID, who we spoke about earlier, Matt Davis, he's just been an incredible resource and support system. And then I have a great friend even outside of my conference, in Alex Credo, who's over at UC Irvine, who he's been vital in just bouncing ideas and troubleshooting issues. So I mean, I guess my advice would just be to jump in, connect, and don't forget to enjoy the journey in the process.
So how do you balance, you know, obviously things have been different for you in the last year. but you've done some new things and gone classes and school and stuff like that. But when you're in a normal year and you got everything going on, how do you balance the responsibilities of your job with life outside the job?
Well, if you ask my husband, he would say I don't. He'd probably say my balance is a little bit lopsided, but finding a good balance requires that constant and intentional work. And it's definitely a work in progress for me. I think this question reminds me of the work that I was lucky I got to work with, just this legendary sports psychologist, Ken Revisa, late great Ken Revisa. And he said, be where you need to be when you need to be there. And so I try to remember that. So when it's time to be at work, I'm there and I need to be there. And when it's time to be at home with my family, that's where I need to be. When it's time to take time for myself, that's what I need to be doing. So, I really try to make sure I schedule that time and make sure I make time for myself, and whether that's going for a run or practicing yoga. But I just think scheduling time for self-care is crucial. And, our job, as leads to really late nights and really long days, and taking time and making time to take care of your body and your mind is just pretty essential to both your physical and your mental health and well-being. And I think I'm just lucky to have a husband and family members who are so supportive and who understand, what it takes to do our job and do our job well. My husband was a former college student athlete, so he gets it. And then my family, my father was an assistant coach for 10 years at Cal State Fullerton for the men's soccer program. So he understands the demands. And so having that support network has just been really, really phenomenal, and in helping me and reminding me that I need to take time and I need to balance my schedule a little bit better sometimes. And I guess, the last thing is I have a really supportive boss. My boss, sometimes he's the one who comes by and knocks on my office door and tells me, like, okay, shut your laptop, it's time to go home. Like, you take a break. So I'm really thankful for that and for having such a great support system, because sometimes I need a reminder.
Well, that segues nicely into my last question. This is my favorite question of each interview is, when you're not a superhero and doing all the, superhero SID things, what's your alter ego? What do you do? What are your hobbies? How do you take care of yourself?
Well, like I mentioned, currently right now I'm gone back to school, so I'm a student, and I'd like to think I'm always a student, and I'm always trying to learn, and I'm always trying to improve and get better. But I'm being a former athlete. I've maintained a pretty active lifestyle. I still play soccer before COVID, I still played soccer. Right now, we don't have any leagues available in California. But that's where I met my husband. I played in a co-ed soccer league, and that's how we met. And now he and we run together every day. I have been able to do that, and I practice yoga, and I a few years back started training in aerial arts, which has been really fun and outside of my comfort zone. And then I also love reading a good book. I do that pretty often when I have time. And then my husband and I also love to travel. His work has taken us to the UK almost every year since about 2015. So we've mainly been in Scotland, but we definitely try to travel. That's actually the background behind me is actually a canvas in our kitchen of, if you can see, it's me up in Scotland on a.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we go to Scotland quite often, which we've found a love for the UK.
It's on my bucket list of places to visit is Scotland.
Well, we've got a really great cottage that we stay at. It's phenomenal and it's beautiful. It's up in the Highlands, so I can send you that info if you do decide to go one day.
That'd be awesome. So
yeah.
Well, Erica, thank you for taking the time this afternoon and speaking with me. It sounds like you're doing some awesome things at SOKA University, and I definitely wish you the best. And hopefully you guys get back to some semblance of normal sometime soon. So thanks for taking the time.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to interview me. This has been great.